Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Rob. We're joined today by Rosie.
Hello, everyone.
Rosie, I apologise in advance. I'm about to talk your ear off about
absolutely fine.
Kingdom Come Deliverance II,
Yay!
which I have been looking forward to for a long time, and I've been fortunate enough to start playing it. We're not going to talk about much beyond the opening couple of hours of the game because we're not interested in spoiling anything at this stage, but really it's just to talk about what a fun and ultimately brutal time I've been having with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because it is an absolutely brutal RPG in the best way.
Even more brutal than the first one when you start off as just, you start off as a peasant, don't you? But you're a knight here.
I would say it's on a par with how brutal the first game is. So it's interesting that you mentioned that in the first game, you are correct, Henry of Skalitz, that's you, the main character. You get to work your way up from, lowly peasant, notoriously and quite famously, you start that game throwing actual poo at a house.
Yeah, you do, don't you? I forgot about that.
But in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, yes, you do start out a little bit higher up in the ranks, but quickly things go bad. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but it is not long before you are literally half naked, covered in mud and blood, wading through a swamp and a muddy track on the brink of death. And basically it's like, unfortunately, you are weak again and you are nothing.
How did that happen?
You must work your way up to the top. I mean, it's quite the sequel reset. But I was sort of like, I kind of love that feeling you get at the beginning of a massive RPG like this, when you have nothing, just the rags on your back. And in this case, you're literally just your underpants. Just you smell like you're hobbling along. It's all gone wrong for you. You sort of hit rock bottom. You're like, okay, how are we going to work our way back up? And the way you do it, if you've played the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, you're going to be familiar with quite a lot of the mechanics and how the gameplay works in terms of the combat and trying to persuade people and the lockpicking, which was notoriously hard in the first game. Am I delighted to report? I'm not sure I am, but it's also difficult in this game. There was a mission where I had to just investigate someone's house for some evidence. I was tracking like a missing person. And the way to get into the house was by lockpicking through the front door. And it was like, lockpick, brackets, very easy. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I had one lockpick, and within 10 seconds, that lockpick was broken, and I had to find another way into the house.
Oh no!
So I think if you enjoyed the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I really did, then you're going to enjoy this. It's a lot of that kind of same realistically harsh world. It's tough being Henry. I
remember it being very realistic and living in this life.
I don't know what it was like, obviously, to live as a peasant in medieval Europe. For those of you who are not familiar with Kingdom Come Deliverance, we should explain that it's a historical RPG set in, I think, 15th century Europe. A lot of the characters you meet are based on real historical characters. A lot of the events that happen are real historical conflicts. You play as Henry of Skalitz, who is a fictional character, sort of exploring this world. But as a setting, I found the first game incredibly refreshing. So there's no magic, there's no dragons. It's grounded, harsh reality.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun backdrop to that sort of classic rags to riches role-playing story. And so if you enjoyed the first game, you're gonna immediately find lots to enjoy here. It's that same really quite lush, beautiful world. You saw me playing the game earlier, Rosie. It's not like a fantasy open world where you'll get to the crest of a mountain and you'll see this fantastical, valleys and rainbows and mountains in the background.
Yeah, it just looks like beautiful countryside.
It looks like real countryside.
Yeah.
Lush grass, there's mud, there's like stinking bogs, there's a few nice lakes and ponds and rivers. But really it's about finding your way in this world. And the way in which you do that, mechanically you will recognize elements from other role-playing games you might have played, but you're not gonna swing in with your sword, slaughter a group of bandits, and then ride back to the town and have the king be like, "Oh, thank you, Henry. Here's like 1,000 gold and an amazing suit of armor." It's not like that.
And a promotion.
Yeah, you've really got to earn it. And the way you do that, I love the way all the mechanics sort of fold into one another. So you've got lots of stats going on in the background. Obviously, you've got your basic ones like your strength and how proficient you are with weapons and armor and that kind of thing. But you've got your speechcraft and how persuasive you are and how intimidating you are. And even if you're really proficient in some of those stats, it's not necessarily like a gimme for if you want to try and persuade someone in a conversation, for example, or lie to someone or trick someone or fool someone. You've got to really read the situation. You've got to be thinking who you're talking to. You've got to be thinking what they might think of you, like you're a low-born peasant, essentially. If you are wearing dirty rags, if you've just been in a fight and your clothes are covered in mud and blood, your reputation is not going to be good enough to maybe convince someone who's of higher standing, for example. Even if you're trying to do something as simple as get a room in an inn for the night. If you turn up, like, stinking and unwashed, the innkeeper's like, "You're not staying in my establishment. Get out of here."
That's really cool that they put that in as an element.
You know, there's troughs and wash basins littered throughout the world, so it's always worth keeping yourself clean, trying to keep your clothes clean.
Hygiene's very important.
It is, and trying to make yourself presentable. Like, the social standing of Henry is really important when you're trying to get things done in the world. And that can be really enjoyable to play around with. Like, I love just having conversations with the people in the world, because it's a harsh world, right? Like, people are suspicious of you. You've got to be suspicious of people, especially if you're out. The scariest thing in Kingdom Come Deliverance is when you're going from village to village and you meet someone on the road and you have no idea who they are, why they're out, and they're like, "Hi, stranger. What are you doing out here?" And there's that
See, that's
weird
where I just be like, "Hello," and then they'll probably steal my goods.
Even if they're not a bandit, if you fail to greet them politely or you speak to them in the wrong way, it could start a fight. And fights are dangerous in Kingdom Come Deliverance II. So the combat system is very similar to the first game, in which you can target certain areas on an opponent's body, so you can attack them from the left, the right, above or below. You've got to really pay attention to where the opponent is holding their weapon. So if they're holding their weapon on one side, you want to try and attack from the other side, but you've got to make sure you're at the right distance, the reach is right, and if they're attacking you need to make sure you're defending well enough. Because if you're not wearing decent armor, just a couple of stabs from like a basic bandit and you will be dead. Like I had one instance where I failed to convince someone, or failed to pull the wool over the eyes of this guy with a hammer, and he was like, he got his hammer out and he smacked me in the head with it, and it literally game over. It was. I had to reload the save and try again.
Brutal.
So you've really got. I kind of love that. I love how every fight is dangerous, and it creates like a tension to every single encounter you have in the game, no matter who you're speaking to, whether you're just trying to get something as simple as, "I'd like a job, please, so I can earn a bit of money," or you're being interrogated, heaven forbid, by like a guard or something. You know, there's like a real sort of tension every time. You're like, "Oh God, I better get this right. I better say the right thing, because if I don't, I'm going to be in a fight, and if I'm in a fight, I'm probably going to die." So you can be good at the combat, but like even then, like I was doing this mission where I was trying to investigate the disappearance of a missing person, and it led me to this farmhand who had basically become involved in it somehow. And I chatted with him and we ended up having a fight, and it was like me with like okay armor and a sword against this farmhand with like just like an axe. And he got the axe out first and started clobbering me with it. It's like, oh God, I literally was nearly dead before I even got my sword out.
Oh my God.
And I managed a good parry and a riposte. And that was enough to have the farmer like on the floor begging for mercy. So even though you can die quickly, you can end fights quickly as well. So I managed to get through that fight. But afterwards, my health was like next to nothing. I was bleeding, which meant my health was going down, and I was not in a good way. So I'd completed that tiny bit of mission, but it's an amazing example of I've just had a fight with like a farmhand, just like another peasant, and I am nearly dead, and I need to find some bandages. I need to bandage myself up. I need to get some food. You've got to eat. You've got to sleep. all of these kind of things you have to be thinking about. And so if that kind of role-playing experience appeals to you, there is like so much fun to be had with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I think. Obviously, I'm still very early days in the game. Just about an hour ago, in fact, I found a dead bandit in the woods and I pilfered all of his armor. So I've got like some semi-decent armor now. That was like the jackpot.
I've done it.
I've got like a little tin hat and some tin knee guards and some gauntlets.
That sounds awesome.
I mean, the armor's a mess. Like I look rubbish.
That doesn't matter.
Like I don't look like a hero, but I'm like, if I encounter someone now, I've got a sword, I've got some armor, I might have a chance. But it's such a vivid world, despite the fact it's quite subdued in its color palette. It's very earthy, very green and brown, very realistic. But like the realness of it feels really sharp, and it's just really exciting all the time. Even if you're just walking along a mud path from one village to the next to go and speak to an innkeeper, it always feels like the stakes are high. I guess much like the stakes would be high if you were like unfortunate enough to be a lowborn person in the olden days. If you're not the privileged few, if you're not a knight or a noble person living in the safety of a castle, life is harsh and difficult.
Yeah.
And it is Peasant Simulator, the role-playing game. It's really cool.
I really want to ask, when you do get a game over or when you die, where does it spawn you? Is it just before a fight, or is it that you have to rest it in an inn and then you start up there again?
So there are multiple ways to save the game. When you sleep in an inn, you save the game then. Mm-hmm. When you quit the game, you can save and quit. So you can technically save anywhere.
Okay, right.
But you also have like this potion called Savior Schnapps, which you need. If you haven't saved it and you do a load of stuff, or the game will also autosave at the end of a completed objective. Mm-hmm. So it's not often you're put hours back. So that time where I failed that conversation and got bludgeoned in the head with a hammer, I only had to go back like a minute along the path.
Okay,
so it was okay.
Fair.
So it doesn't brutally punish you in that kind of respect. It's just that, if you muck up a conversation or you muck up some lockpicking, that's it. There's no it's not easy to get this stuff back. Like I broke my one and only lockpick. I was like, I've got to get another lockpick. How do I get a lockpick? You can buy them, but it's not easy to get money at the start of the game. At the moment, I think I've got like 25 groschen, which is the currency. And bear in mind, it costs 12 groschen for like a room at an inn.
Oh, that is
for
risky.
One night.
Yeah, that's risky.
Money is like a precious resource in the game. So every decision you make, there's you've got you've always got 2 or 3 scenarios in your head, which is the best course of action here. At the start of the game, often I found the best course of action is de-escalation. Try and calm everyone down. Like even if you're in the right, just try and avoid conflict. Slowly build yourself up, and then we'll see where we get to. Dice is back, by the way. I should say, one of my favourite mini games in any RPG. I've played the game, I think, for about 4 or 5 hours. At least one of those hours has just been repeatedly playing dice with people in taverns. The dice game is so much fun. But I'm loving my time with it so far. I've not been playing it long. I can't wait to play more and go further in this adventure and grow Henry into the hero that he's destined to become, hopefully.
Go on, Henry, I believe in you.
I believe in him as well. Well, thank you very much, Rosie, for listening to me talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Thank you for talking to me. I've had a lovely time.
I'm going to hopefully be talking a lot more about it soon on the channel as we get nearer to its release, which is on the 4th of February. It's coming to PS5. Not long to wait now. So thank you very much for listening, everyone. Let us know what you think of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in the comments, and join us again very soon for more videos on everything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching. PlayStation